everyone, this is Jasmine. In this video, I will be going over how to make study guides for your courses. Because classes are remote and online, a lot of exams are open notes. So the key to succeeding in this type of learning environment is to make high quality study guides for yourself so you can have all of your notes condensed into one place. Even though your exams will be online, many of them will still be timed, so it is important to make sure your notes are organized in a way that is easily accessible in a short amount of time. This will save you the stress of having to try and scroll through or flip through pages and pages of notes. When making study guides for my courses, I like to use Google Docs. It's free, automatically saves your work, and is easily accessible across different devices. The only thing that you need is Wi-Fi to use Google Docs. I like to utilize this heading feature specifically, which I will be demonstrating for you now. So once you click one of the options in this drop-down menu here, it will create an outline for you on the left side of the document. So if you click any part of this outline, it will take you directly to that part of the document that corresponds to that section. Now this will make more sense once I show you one of the study guides I've already made for one of my courses, but just to demonstrate, let's say that this first heading is study guides. Then you can go in and create a second heading underneath. So you would click heading 2, and then let's say the next thing that you do is use Google Docs. So now you can see both of these on the side here, and if you click either of them, it'll take you back to the other one. And you can customize the font, the size of the fonts. You can do all of that. Those are just the default ones that come up when you hit the subheadings and the headings, but you can kind of customize it to make it whatever you'd like. And this is usually more useful than just doing Command F or Control F. This will, like, if you type in a word, it'll like highlight it for you in your document. And this can be useful in some instances when taking online exams, but if you have a course that has a lot of the same word use and you have a lot of the same word in your notes, it could take you a much longer time to find what you're really looking for and to like find the answer that you're looking for. So by creating this outline on the side, it'll create a much more streamlined way for you to access your notes. So here are one of the study guides I made for one of my classes in a previous quarter. As you can see, this document is super long, a good 42 pages. But with this outline and heading feature in Google Docs, it makes it super easy for me to find whatever I'm looking for. So let's say I'm looking for gender schemas. I just click directly on that little heading there, and it takes me directly to the page that I need. So even though it's on page 20 of 42, it just takes me right there, which makes it much easier than having to scroll through all of your notes just to find the answer that you're looking for. So now that you have a strategy for formatting your study guide, I'm going to give some tips for you to know what to put in your study guide exactly, like what content you should be focusing on to be successful in your courses. Now, some professors will provide you with a study guide already, but usually they're just a list of all the concepts or terms that you may have covered, and they might give you some like practice problems, but the rest of it is up to you to really fill out and like actually write out what those definitions are. They usually don't like give you all of that information. And then some professors won't give you a study guide at all. So it's definitely a good thing to get into the habit of, just in case you don't receive a study guide. All right, so here is another study guide I made for one of my other classes. This I'm going to use to help to kind of demonstrate how you can begin to organize your notes to make the study guide. So if your class is organized by chapters, as this class was, that's a great starting point to go off of because you can easily scroll through this outline and see what content was in each of the chapters. I think it's especially helpful if like your class does it kind of like in chronological order. That's not always the case, but it can be a really helpful way to just kind of like have a structure already built into how you make your study guide. And it's still pretty easy to see what was in each chapter if you don't remember. But yeah, so that's like if it's organized by chapter, I recommend writing your study guide SO with chapters. And now going back to the study guide that I showed you previously, if your class is not organized by chapters, you could also organize your study guide by lecture, week, etc. Because usually in like a normal quarter, there's only like 10 weeks. And in the summer, it's even less weeks. So it's a really easy way to organize the information by like week 1, week 2, or even just breaking it down by lecture as well. And usually professors will title their lectures with the topic that they will be covering. So you can use those topics as organizing tools as well. And that is exactly what I did in this study guide. So we didn't use a textbook or anything. We just had different topics for each lecture basically. So as you can see on the side here, we have like gender as a social identity. So that was like a whole lecture and a whole topic. So I created its own subheading for that. And then I have all the information there, really easy, really laid out. And another big thing with including on your study guides is if you've had previous quizzes or practice problems in a class, including those questions and answers in your study guide will be really useful because you can not only use them to practice while you're studying, but sometimes professors will actually repeat or use very similar questions to ones that they've given previously. So this is a good way to ensure that you have all the content and like all the information you could possibly need for an exam. And it could save you some time if you already have the question written down from before and it ends up being the same. You already know what the answer is. What I like to do with these is at first I write the question and answer down. And then when I go back to study, or first I write down the question and possible answers and I try to answer it myself. And then I'll check back and see what the actual answer is and kind of like quiz myself. And then once I'm done doing that, I'll highlight the correct answer in a different color so I know, okay, that's the correct answer. But it's just a good way to practice, especially for content that was maybe earlier on in your class that you may not remember as well towards the end of your class. It's a good way to refresh and just like have that information in the back of your mind. And kind of going off of that point, another thing with study guides is to use color. I feel like when your notes look cool and like look better, just like look neat and fun, you'll want to look at them more and you'll want to study more. And it also just helps you like differentiate things and remember things better. So personally, I like to use different colors for all of my classes. So this class, for example, the color was green. So anytime I highlight or annotate, I use the color green for this class, and it just helps me kind of separate the information from each class in my brain so I know, okay, this content goes with this class, and it just kind of like all makes sense in my brain. You obviously don't have to do that. Some people like to use different colors to differentiate terms versus people versus like dates, and that's totally fine too. It really depends on like what you want to do, but I definitely recommend using color in your study guides and even just in your note taking in general. And one of the last points I wanted to touch on is you can also include images, graphs, and diagrams into your study guide. You can either make them yourselves or you can take them straight from the class content itself. So if you can see here, I have this image slash like diagram, and I took that right from the professor's slides that they provided for us. But you can also make some of your own if you want to using the drawing feature on Google Docs. So these I made using the drawing feature. They have like a bunch of different things you can do. You just go to insert drawing and then new. And then they have a bunch of different shapes, a bunch of different arrows you can use, and you can add text, change the colors, I believe. So you can use that if you want to create your own diagrams. A lot of times professors will base questions off of diagrams. So having that diagram in your study guide obviously is a surefire way that you'll get that question right because you already have it easy to reference, easy to see. So that was everything I wanted to cover in this video. If you end up having any questions or just want more information or help, please feel free to contact me. You can send me a message on Whova or contact me through the Summer Edge email, summeredge@ucsc.edu. Thanks for watching, and I hope this was helpful. Bye.